What's up, everyone? This is Tess, and it is time for another game review, baby. 2024 has been off to a hell of a good start with video game releases, and this review highlights one of the games that was released on January 25th of this year, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Now, bear in mind, this review is done from the perspective of a long-time Like a Dragon fan, so my review on Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth will differ from someone who probably got into the series later on. It may also differ from other fellow members of the Like a Dragon elderly community. This review will also contain some heavy spoilers that will be appropriately forewarned, so don't worry. Once we get to those sections, I got you. It's 2023, and thanks to Ichiban and the gang's efforts to stop Ryo Aoki, the gang is individually prospering out here. I mean, Ichiban is being called the hero of Yokohama. They each have jobs of their own until the VTubers attack. Thanks to this 2D rigged up bitch falsely accusing Ichiban of recruiting ex-Yakuza members to run a smuggling ring, Ichiban returns to broke boy status, joined by Adachi and somehow Namba. Checking up on an ex-Yakuza member he recommended to work for Adachi's upstart business, Ichiban discovers that he rejoined the Seiryu clan. This Seiryu clan has a new leader named Ebina, who's seemingly eager, a little too eager, to carry on Arakawa's will. Ebina claims he too wishes to create a second great dissolution within the Seiryu clan, bringing along Joe Sawashiro and his reputable tenure for credibility amongst the Yakuza members looking to be reformed. Seizing this moment, Sawashiro informs Ichiban, "Hey bruh, funny story. Arakawa actually sent me to look for your mother for years, and I found her, but I didn't want to tell her Arakawa was still alive because he was treating my son amazing. I didn't want to mess up my situation." So she decided to return to Hawaii, and thank God she did, or else I would have killed her. You want to meet her? And slides reluctant Ichiban a ticket to Hawaii, where Ichi narrowly escapes the American dream 5 minutes after getting a whiff of that Second Amendment stench. With only an address to go by, he eventually finds the house, and instead of it being his mother, Akane, instead it's a young lady by the name of Chitose, who convinced Ichiban to drink to the point of blacking out, stealing his passport, and dumping him off at the beach booty butt naked. Arrested by the cops for having his dragon exposed and interrogated by an even bigger dragon of a cop, Ichiban embarks in a low-speed chase in the most durable chonkless known to man from the police, and is rescued by a familiar man with no name.
Kiryu-san?
Okay, he has a name. On orders from the Daidoji, Kiryu informs Ichiban that he is in Hawaii, also looking for a woman, which leads to our two protagonists to team up for an internationally sponsored wild goose chase that unveils government secrets, a religious organization, and why the hell is a VTuber involved? Okay, I'm gonna say it. This game is bigger than Ichiban's dragon. Even as I was writing this review out, it feels like calling this game the biggest is still an understatement to how much content it truly contains. I put in a whopping 95 hours. By the time I got to chapter 6, I already had 50 hours clocked. I also opted to play the game in both Japanese and English, switching between languages in accordance to whichever country I was in. And let me tell you, it made me wish that the game made languages an equipable option for the cities highlighted in the game. I played Like a Dragon 7 in English every time I was in Hawaii, so hearing Kaiji Tong and the others was a joy.
I come from Kamurocho. Some would call it the armpit of Tokyo, Japan.
While playing in Japanese every time I went to Yokohama, hearing the legendary Takaya Kuroda reprising Kiryu was like being reunited with a beloved friend, which fits the theme of this game. It also gave me a bonus treat in hearing the Japanese voices for the Like a Dragon 7 gang for the first time since I played Like a Dragon 7 in English. But to delve into the game, this game is constantly engaging you, and you don't even have to play a minigame or sub-story for it to do that. There is always something shining or a briefcase to collect a random item or material from, anytime, anywhere you walk. Or with Aloha Link, you can greet strangers on the street to befriend them, or participate in a literal Pokemon League parody, and so much more. This game ensures you are never not doing something. Hell, there was so much to do. Notice how it kept me from talking about the main story? So let's talk about it. While Like a Dragon 7's story did a great job at addressing the themes of fatherhood, what defines family, homelessness in Japan, and navigating through a world 20 years different than your own, Like a Dragon 8 made sure to spotlight Hawaii, and Hawaii by proxy America, America's diplomatic ties and history with Japan. What makes Hawaii's inclusion stand out is the unique lens of the player being in the shoes of Ichiban as a tourist for once. From 0 to 7, Like a Dragon has been concentrated heavily in Japan, naturally, and has always treated Kamurocho, Sotenbori, Okinawa, Yokohama, and so many more cities that are highlighted in the series as characters themselves. They're providing subtext about the culture there, or replicating the atmosphere, or even just witnessing the life there through the lives of its inhabitants. This game, of course, details the pros of visiting Hawaii, and bits of Hawaiian culture is included, especially as actual local shops that can be found in Hawaii are featured in the game. But it's also not shy to talk about the issues that have plagued Hawaii due to tourism, such as homelessness, a hotbed for scamming, and high costs of living. Hell, I found out through this game that Waikiki Beach is a man-made beach. Like, I could not fathom the fact that, like, a beach could have sand imported from California and be made. I was also glad to see Like a Dragon 8 finally pass the torch from Kiryu to Ichiban and coping with moving through society post-Yakuza life. Delving more into how a young, optimistic ex-Yakuza like Ichiban braves the harshest of treatment from society and supposed allies with an unwavering smile, while Kiryu, a seasoned Yakuza veteran who has spent most of his life fighting the most corrupt of the underworld's belly, finally has to accept the bitter reality of his youth and health fleeting away from him while the world continues to turn. Like a Dragon 8 returns, staying true to its RPG format, and has done some pretty nice overhauls across the board when it comes to gameplay and combat. For now, let me tell you, this game truly is paradise. Almost everything you can think of when it comes to side content in a Like a Dragon game, they have it. Claw machine, check. Older Sega games with the obligatory virtual fighter, check. Darts, check. Can collector, check. Karaoke in an illegal casino hidden away in a public bathroom or secretly unavailable until after closing at a Chinese restaurant in Hawaii? Double to triple check. The gear shop is also back, where you can craft weapons with the materials collected. However, it's more streamlined in this game, meaning the weapon tree is gone, so as long as you have the materials, you can craft ultimate weapons with no prerequisites. Also, metals like iron and steel are used to strengthen weapons and unlock brands that can be equipped onto the weapons for additional buffs. Of course, these materials can be collected from fights while exploring, or as per tradition, in the leveling dungeons. The dungeon where you usually grind for XP, money, and gear is not a battle tower in this game, but what looks to be a series of seed-generated rooms or floors. Progressing to the next floor by finding the exit ladder, you can easily spend an hour to an hour and a half fighting numerous enemies that fill the Sujidex entries and rescuing civilians trapped underground. Though I have to say, the fun factor for this new grinding, leveling dungeon seems to decrease the more rooms you find. Bring it up the Sujidex, Professor Orikasa returns with not only another Sujidex, but a full-on Sujimon League. Yes, Infinite Wealth did the impossible and put a fake Pokemon gacha game inside of a real game. The Sujimon League was my favorite minigame in Infinite Wealth because of how funny it was, how hot she is, and helped me learn my way around Hawaii since I had to go around town to the nearest Sujimon raids. And just like the great Run Popil would say, but wait, there's more. There are new minigames like the Crazy Taxi meet Uber Eats inspired Crazy Delivery, managing your own island resort on Dondoko Island, and an awkward dating app. Again, there's so much that I haven't even named them all yet, and my tongue's getting tired, so here, have some lazy screenshots. As mentioned before, the combat is the same as Like a Dragon 7, however, improvements in 8 have made the combat so much more enjoyable. For one, you can actually control the character's movement, albeit within a certain range as indicated by a circle below their feet. Still, you have some form of control of your character. What's great about this feature is that the combat in 8 seems to have had fun building off of this particular feature, as damage boosts from back attacks have returned, but also introduces new ways to obtain damage boosts. The game now has a proximity bonus, meaning if an enemy is within your range of movement, you get a damage boost. Attacks also have specific properties marked by green symbols below the character's feet that make strategizing your attacks more effective. Arrows suggesting knockbacks, lines indicating enemies getting caught in the crossfires, and even AoEs. There's a bigger importance in the combat in Like a Dragon 8 that actually encourages you to fight smarter rather than fight harder, which I tend to appreciate. The job classes return with some familiar faces like Samurai, Chef, Dancer, and Idol, and some new aces like Desperado, Geodancer, Housekeeper, and 2 exclusive classes that I have to pay for that adds a plethora of variety. A few of my favorite classes were Desperado because, come on, you get to put Kiryu in a cowboy outfit. Housekeeper, which is super useful for gaining additional money from higher level enemies. Just remember to get the hell out of dodge after giving them the suck. You gotta suck and run. Another class I was surprisingly impressed with was the Geodancer job, as I'll admit, it looked a bit goofy, especially on Tomizawa, but it was great for magic-based characters like Tomizawa. Like the tag attacks, which have also returned, these are all unlocked through developing your friendship bonds with your party. By developing these bonds all the way to level 100, you also get the chance to tackle additional abilities from the job classes you have already leveled and unlocked, and equip particular moves that you would like for your character to use, no matter what class they are. Oh, and don't worry, just in case you were curious about Pound Mates returning, yes, Pound Mates is back, so you can pound till you can't pound anymore. Although this game is a Yakuza fan's paradise, there was some stormy weather I encountered while playing this game that left me disappointed in some elements. Be forewarned, this section is going to drop heavy spoilers, so if you're looking to avoid them, do not worry. The timestamp will be displayed right here to a section that you can go to. My first issue with Like a Dragon 8 has to do with the story. The story actually kept me intrigued in the first half because I had not a clue where it was going to take me. And trust me, that is a good thing. It was unpredictable, Akane-san's background was foreign waters, and her disappearance was the catalyst of the story's mystery in the first half. However, once Pelicana was introduced, that's when I started to realize if the worst thing in Yakuza is your father being a Yakuza boss, then the second worst thing in Yakuza has to be your mother being in a cult. So I was curious about how the story would handle it. How would it present Akane-san? Was Akane-san one of these Haku leaders? Was she being led astray? Or was she in a powerful position and was actually the cult leader herself? All of these questions about Akane-san's role were instantly fizzled by this Woody Harrelson looking mother lover. No, they did not! 6,000% a cult. Ah man, the PD pop-off energy this is giving me. What's next? You're gonna sell me some Miracle Spring water? It's like looking at O.J. Simpson and going, oh yeah, he did that shit. But my prediction of what the story could be is just merely a prediction. And last time I humbly checked, I am not a writer for RGG Studio. So, Akane-san not living up to my expectations is nothing against the game itself. Rather, my disappointment with Like a Dragon 8 story is the fact that it took some of Yakuza 1's homework and asked if it could copy it. All that's missing from this child that is the heir to a religious organization on the run with an older woman is 10 billion yen and a white bubble coat. Lonnie and Akane's involvement in the story may be the fuel to the first half, but once they are rescued, the gas tank starts drifting towards E. I didn't feel any triumph finding Akane-san or a sense of accomplishment finding Akane-san. Ichiban expressing he only sees her as Arakawa's lover rather than his mother, while a possible and valid feeling, reduces the impact of seeing these two reunite despite them having a few moments to exchange words. I've seen videos of adults being reunited with their estranged mothers from other countries after 20, 30, and even 40 years, and let me tell you, there is not a single pair of dry eyes in the video, including me watching. So to see these two reunite after 40 years, but lack that emotional weight, made Ichiban and Akane-san's reunion fall pretty flat, especially when Seven drove it home with the whole fatherhood theme. Lonnie and Akane, Lonnie especially, felt more like characters designed to justify Kiryu's involvement in the story. Speaking of Kiryu, looks like he has something in common with Tom Brady in that they both refuse to retire. This is the third game that attempts to send Kiryu off, and I hope I'm wrong when I say something is telling me this is the third failure at attempting to send him off. As much as I love Kiryu, I started to get tired of him taking the shine from Ichiban. And it's not the character's fault. Rather, Kiryu has almost 20 real-life years. I am not exaggerating, that's how long the series has been out. So it's no surprise that when I was with Team Kiryu, his segments are easily better than Ichiban's because everything about Kiryu has already been stated across now 9 games, when you include Like a Dragon Gaiden. I feel so bad for Ichiban because he never got the character development he deserved in this game. The second half of the story really shows the weak development Ichiban has, as some of the choices and actions he took had me genuinely confused. Look, I get that Ichiban's trait is he's the talk no jutsu character. He's empathetic, kind-hearted, generally a great guy to the point sometimes it is a detriment. But in 8, it felt like a fatal flaw as he's getting exponentially screwed over. The lack of development with Ichiban was unnerving, that seeing him so forgiving to this mother lover who lied about being disabled, killed 2 characters, and blackmailed this no-good mother lover into spreading false rumors about him to get him fired from Hello Work, as well as exposing Kiryu's identity that it made national news, compromising his deal with the Daidoji, was damn near comical. If you thought the cards Ichiban was dealt in his upbringing leading up to Like a Dragon 7 was a tragedy, I would argue Like a Dragon 8 is a forest fire in comparison. And to see Ichiban naively letting that forest fire burn was jarring. Since the story reveals Ichiban is half-brothers with Ebina, he doesn't even get the spotlight of confronting him and the resentment he harbors towards Arakawa for deserting his mother. Instead, Kiryu once again is given the glory of taking out the final boss. And speaking of the villains, they are hilariously bland. The only one who actually felt like a real person is Yamai, and he eventually becomes an ally. I would actually say out of all the new characters that were introduced in Like a Dragon 8, he's my favorite. I would not be surprised if Yamai is supposed to be Ichiban's Majima. Now that I've gotten the spoiler-heavy complaints out of the way, by the final third of the story, the writing got incredibly flat. Generally throughout the story, way too much over-explaining. This long-windedness even spills into the sub-stories, and I love doing the sub-stories because they tend to be hilarious, and they tend to give you a break from the gravely heavy main story that Like a Dragon is known for. But I also started skipping through them because they never shut the hell up. That's what I noticed, with the sub-stories being a drag, the final third of the story being a drag, arguably the second half of the story being a drag, leveling to an extent being a drag, the dungeons being a drag, Dundoko Island requiring 3 in-game days on the island, and earning money being a drag. This game is ridiculously grindy and time-consuming than it really needs to be, that it made me like a Dragon 7 more. The 60 plus hours I have in Like a Dragon 7 felt more productive and left me more satisfied than the 95 hours I spent finishing Like a Dragon 8. In 7, I had all the ultimate weapons for each character, job XP boost for everyone, the best gear for everyone. I was at a pretty high level and finished the game feeling like I had the opportunity to do everything. In 8, I was only able to get one ultimate weapon because of insufficient shark fins. When I looked up the probability of getting a shark fin from fishing, I laughed in shark tails because what the hell. Then when doing the dungeon, you can buy shark fins for 15,000 points. 15,000 points. Now don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem putting in the time and work for materials and weapons. If that was the case, I would not be playing RPGs. What I do have a problem with is when you make it excruciatingly boring and tedious in the hopes that your player base will go to a store page to buy shark fins to make it convenient. 5 readily available shark fins, huh? How conveniently convenient. So convenient that if you take a sharp glance, you might have mistaken this for Tale of Arise's microtransactions. I guess it's my fault for not paying an extra $20. At least I would get New Game Plus. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth lives up to expectations as the biggest Like a Dragon game in the series, but at the cost of the game being too big for its own good. The gameplay in this game is like a kid being locked inside a candy store, enjoying the feast of an endless sweet experience Like a Dragon 8 has to offer. But eventually, the cavities become noticeable, and the holes are noticeable from the second half onward. If you're like me, who sees gameplay and story as two sides to make a wonderful gaming experience when they both are at their best, Like a Dragon 7's story is much stronger than 8, with 8's gameplay much stronger than 7's, but the two games make up for what the other lacks. Here's to hoping, however, that Like a Dragon 9 allows Ichiban to shine on his own as the star of the series as this review sunsets Like a Dragon 8. Thank you for watching.